I see the light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs. Off the rails.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. How far are we into the new year?
About a week.
About a week.
Exactly a week, actually.
Yeah. How is everybody doing?
We crushing them goals. If you haven't watched the podcast that came out on the New Year's Day, on the New Year Day.
On the New Year Day.
We said a startling statistic that 20-something% of people failed their New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
In the first week.
Yeah, so...
How many of you are still at your New Year's resolution? Or did you listen to the podcast and say F New Year's resolutions and you set some goals?
Yeah. Where are you guys at with your goals? Just taking temperature here.
And if this comes out a month after, maybe you're part of the half that's still going.
Yeah, that'd be great. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about limiting mindsets.
Yeah. I like it.
Which is kind of...
I sent you this TikTok that inspired me.
Yes. He basically talked about how...
Start paying attention to
you
when
need to
things
think
work
about
out.
the things that are good in your life and the things that work well in your life. Because as a human species, or at least Americans, we have an inherent ability to really hone in on the negative.
Yeah. So the whole premise is what we're chatting about is paying attention to when things work out in your life instead of paying attention to when things don't work out in your life. Something that I started doing this year was one of my goals is journaling. And I have to say that just out of how I think the general mindset works is I'm journaling about the negative things. And that's not necessarily always the right answer. I think there's nothing wrong with jotting down your thoughts about, whatever might have happened that's negative. But I feel some kind of conviction that I should be journaling about my aspirations and what is working out in my life.
So I'm all about
Well, we're big on manifestation in general, which I feel like is a part of this.
and getting negative vibes out of our lives.
Yeah.
Because when you invite negativity into your life, it manifests itself as inherently negative
Yeah.
vibes across your entire life.
Which we've touched on this before with people who are inherently negative and kind of distancing yourself from that, or just environments that are kind of negative and removing yourself from that. The more positive environments you can place yourself in, the more positive mindset that you'll have, and that's kind of what we're talking about.
And I think that even anxiety, stress, depression, all those things can be alleviated. There is what's the word? A medical diagnosis of depression, anxiety, and all that. However, you can definitely alleviate that even if you're clinically depressed and stuff like that by focusing on positivity and the good.
Yeah, it's a mentality.
And I wrote this.
Mindset.
You attract what you focus on. When you focus on the bad, you bring inherently negative stuff into your life, including anxiety, stress, depression, etc. When you focus on the good, even the tiny wins, you end up building more motivation and push further, faster. And then positive affirmations are easy when you can celebrate even the tiny wins.
When we were chatting about this topic just a few minutes ago, I mentioned that I see this as a way of practicing gratitude, practicing thankfulness and gratitude for yourself, for the situations that you are in, for learning lessons that you are, and really just choosing a positive mentality over a negative mentality. And that practicing gratitude is inherently only going to help you. And
gratitude to yourself also.
Yeah, I said that. So
when things go well.
Yeah, you're paying attention in life to when things go well. When things are for example, the other day when you were like, the Lord knew I needed coffee because you woke up late.
Like an hour late.
Yeah. So let's just like kind of break it down. There's a negative thing. You woke up late. Like you woke up at 9:11 and you were supposed to be there at 9. And then, so you woke up late, but you were like, I'm going to get coffee anyway because I need it.
Well, I wasn't going to get coffee because I didn't think I had time to get coffee.
Okay.
So I hate going to Starbucks, but I go to Starbucks because it's convenient sometimes, and sometimes I just need the caffeine in my system.
Yeah.
So I passed the Starbucks on my way here. It was to run sound at the church and broadcast sound. Sean runs real sound.
Yeah.
Well, they're both real sound. Anyway, I was walking out the door. I'm like, God, I am so tired because I literally like it's one of those times you wake up in a panic.
Yeah.
Like it feels later than it should be, and you're nervous to look at the clock.
Yeah.
And then you do, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I immediately, before I got out of bed, I texted Sean and Kyle and said, hey, I just woke up. My alarm didn't go off or whatever.
Yeah.
And I started getting ready to go, and I got out the door, and I'm like, God, I am so tired. I could really use some caffeine. I ain't got time for caffeine. And as I'm passing the Starbucks that's on the road, usually there's a line around the freaking building, and there's cars all over the parking lot, and it would take me probably 15 minutes to get anything.
Yeah.
It was a freaking ghost town.
Yeah.
On a Sunday morning.
So you were able to get coffee and
In under
go
2
about
minutes.
your way. Yeah.
In under 2 minutes, I pulled up, got my coffee, and got on the way.
So even though you were in a negative situation, you looked at the positive of, I was able to get coffee really, really quickly and just get to where I need to be. And so that is like just a small example of kind of what we're chatting about. Like, even though that's a minuscule thing in a day-to-day life, like Alex chose to see the positivity in that little bit of a stressful situation. And doing that and practicing that behavior over and over and over and over again is only going to set you up for success, and it's only going to get you where you ultimately want to be.
And that's a great story about me practicing gratitude and looking at positives, but y'all, it's not that easy.
No, it's for sure not.
I'm definitely guilty of looking at negatives, but
I would say,
I feel like I'm pretty good at not.
In general, you are far more inherently positive than I am. I've said this before, I'm working on it, but I tend to recognize the negativity before I recognize the positive. And I feel like you often recognize the positive before you're a fixer is what you are.
You're a glass half empty to my glass half full.
Yeah. And you're also just a fixer, in general. And so you are like, yeah, there's a problem, but regardless, I'm going to figure out a way to fix it.
Every problem has a solution.
Yeah.
If you focus on the solution, it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Where did I hear that from? I literally just heard that recently.
Say it again.
There is a solution to every problem. It wasn't worded like this, but it was about this topic. There's a solution to every problem, which means the problem isn't really a problem because you just got to find the solution.
Yeah.
So if you focus on the solution and finding a solution,
Was it Anna Frisella?
then the problem's not a problem anymore.
I wouldn't be
I
surprised
don't
if
think
it
it
was.
was. I truthfully don't think it was.
Okay.
I really now want to figure out what it was.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not just one of those people who feel like I can fix anything. I feel like you are, though, not in like a pompous or arrogant way, but like you generally can be like, I can figure out a way to fix this. And so you don't focus on the negative, and you just, I feel like you almost don't even have to choose it. It's just kind of like what your mind does naturally, which is why I need you.
I don't even know how I got there. Like,
Yeah.
because I didn't have like this rough upbringing that like
I
caused
literally,
me to like.
I mean, just like, sorry guys, side note, I don't know if anybody else is dealing with this, but I have like a slow drip on my nose that like I've been dealing with for like 3 months now, and it never actually comes out. It's just like always.
It's the winter allergies.
It's just like always wet in my nose.
It's the winter allergies.
In my nosy. I don't know what's going on. So sorry. But I do feel like it's literally a part of your DNA. I feel like you also get that from your mom, though.
My mom or my dad?
I see it in your mom.
Or both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Because my mom always like wants everybody to be happy and wants like
Yeah.
and like wants to be able to fix things.
I truly feel like it's in your DNA because I've never experienced Well, that's not true. I have experienced you being a sad boy, but like it lasts for like a day and then you're like out of it. And it's very rare.
But it happens. But like mom has that like mentality, like wants to be able to do that, even though I think she has anxiety issues and like does that too. But like she's more like on par with what you, but she wants to be able to help and fix.
Yeah. My
dad just
does it.
There's a solution to every problem. I feel like I get it directly from him.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Because it's I think it gets down to not getting caught up in your emotional connection to the situation, but more of a realistic, what's the word? A realistic solution? Is that the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I'm not really sure where you're going with that.
Like, instead of focusing on how it's emotionally making you feel.
Oh, you put your emotions aside.
You put your emotions aside and just work on it, period.
Yeah.
Like, let's say the bathroom pipes are busted or something like that. Instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, it's going to cost so much money, or this is like the very surface level version of what I'm saying. It's going to cost us so much money. We can't use the bathroom right now. We don't have time for this. Just another thing on the list.
Yeah. What you have said before.
I've said it before because I prioritize like the importance of.
Yeah.
But in this situation, it's like the basics of what I'm saying. Instead of focusing on all that stuff, most of the time people just, we got to get it fixed. So you get it fixed, and guess what? No more issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can treat every aspect of your life like that, in that you can be dealt a problem or something in your life, and instead of viewing it as negative and it just starts dragging you down and digging a hole, you just fix it.
I feel like the more you recognize when things work out, the easier the path is paved for that to continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking at a cobblestone road right now. It's like building a road with cobblestone, like with bricks, because negativity, it's called bricks negativity.
Okay.
And some of the negative bricks are real rough, and when there's a positive moment, there's a little smooth patch. But like on Main Street, for example, it's pretty bad in places. You have to go real slow, right? But if you're just focused on all the positive and things that work out, you're paving your road. You're not using bricks to pave your road.
Yeah, you're paving your own way.
Occasionally there might be a pothole.
Yeah.
But you can go around the pothole if your road's paved like that. Unless you're in certain parts of St. Louis and the roads are pretty horrible.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I don't know. Sorry. My brain gets weirdly weird analogies, and I just... Did it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I think...
TM trademark. Just sorry.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, when you practice positivity and you practice recognizing when things are good, it just makes more space for more good things to happen, because you're not even acknowledging or allowing that negative in your space.
And when you're focusing on the negative, you're just going to get more negative.
And by doing that, you're changing the way that you react and the way that your mind reacts and the way that you feel emotionally about these things. So it's a whole like process and mentality and mind shift that you start to do when you are recognizing all of the good things instead of all of the bad things. Because I think as humans, the bad things are what impact us the most. Emotionally, it causes us trauma, anxiety, or it makes us afraid, so we have a scarcity mindset. But even if you're recognizing the small, just tiny pea-sized things that you don't even know if it's applied to where you want to be, but if you're tracking it for a certain amount of time or a long period of time, and then all of a sudden you're where you want to be, then you can look back and be like, oh, all of these things got me to here. And I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have taken the responsibility to actually recognize the good things that are happening. You said something earlier to me that was, which I do this often with just our job, but
The booking
you,
thing?
you often are like you or we as people and humans often need to be reminded of where we
I have
wanted
that right
to
here.
be.
That's where I was going to be.
Okay, go
I was going
ahead.
to read this. 'Cause
Yeah.
I wrote this out. I wrote this down specifically so I said it right. People always have to remind themselves that they are currently where they used to hope that they would be.
Actually, I just talked about this when I cleaned out my office. Do you remember? I had a journal, and I was like I journaled that I took a sick day.
From when you were mowing.
Yeah, I took a sick day from my 9 to 5, and I wasn't actually sick.
It was a mental health day.
It was a mental health day for me, and I went to like a coffee shop, and I had already had the business at the time, so I chose to take a sick day and
Work on
go
the
and
business.
like edit photos at a coffee shop, and I was journaling about it, and I said that I felt like I was never going to be where I wanted to be. And then when I found that, it was literally it was before the new year, I think, like right before this
was
new
December.
year. I found that journal, and I was like, I am currently where I wanted to be in this journal, but where I'm right now, I don't want to be here anymore. And I felt gratitude for like, I'm recognizing that I've achieved the things that the past me wanted to do. And that felt really good and really empowering. But then also it was like a reminder to myself of, yes, I've achieved all of these things, but now my goals and my aspirations have also shifted
And grown.
and grown. So I want to be somewhere else, which is why I think
people forget. That's because that is why they have to be reminded that they're where they were wanting to be at one point. But I also wrote after that,
which is why you should be writing down when things work out for you.
and not the
just
negative.
like I very easily could be like, I'm not booking all of these destination weddings. I'm not getting a celebrity wedding. But I could say, we're going to engage this year. We booked an Italy wedding this year. Like, I could choose to say all of the good things that are happening instead of what's not happening.
Or you could say, at one point, I was just trying to book weddings, period.
Right.
But now I have no problem booking weddings, and we're booking weddings for 10 times more than we did when we first started.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, like people, for whatever reason, because as you grow and get to the places that you wanted to be, you instinctually raise the bar for yourself,
Which is fine.
which is great.
Yeah,
But you
and
have
you
to
should be doing
remember,
that.
you have to remember that point where you currently are sitting is where you were hoping you were going to be sitting at some point. Even if
Exactly.
things aren't going great, you're probably still pretty much where you were wanting to be at one point.
Yep.
The problem here is that people never have to be reminded about all the ways they failed.
Right.
About anything that went wrong, because as a society, we like to focus on the negative. And like, let's take celebrities, for example. You really only hear celebrities in the news when it's negative, when they did something wrong.
Overly positive.
Or just like overly positive. The ones that are just trucking along, doing the good stuff and are never in the media are the ones that just never do anything wrong. They're just doing their job, and
Well, I wouldn't say I'd never do anything wrong, but like it's not in the media.
it's not like,
It's not publicized.
yeah. They're not, in most cases, they're just generally just keeping to themselves. And
Yeah.
they're not doing anything that's, quote, newsworthy. And, quote, newsworthy these days is inherently negative things
Or overly positive.
or overly positive.
Right.
But
It's
we're
just like how
focusing on
it's
the
just the
negative,
news channels.
not the positive right now.
The news is a good example of that, which is why we don't watch it. It's not realistic.
And that's like that's a big example of like getting the negative energy out of your life. And when we were watching the news, it was just negative thing after negative thing after
It like
negative
caused
thing.
actual anxiety for me. I was like, I can't watch this shit.
And there's a reason that is a thing, and that's because it's sensationalizing it and making people
Well, and there's
anxious and worry. So they
there's a narrative, but we're not going to get into the politicals
and
of that.
they keep people engaged because they're worried and they want to know more information and stay up to date so that if it ever gets fixed, so it just keeps people listening and watching.
Yeah.
And it's a psychological marketing tactic is really what it is.
Yeah.
But we don't need that.
Right.
Let's talk about a real example within our industry.
Yeah.
And we deal with this quite a bit. Every year at least happens once. We have a booking dry spell. And it's usually the same time of year, so it's usually just the nature of the ebb and flow of booking weddings.
Yeah.
And it's always the same time of year. But we always are focusing. There's always a conversation at some point.
You say we, but it's just me.
It's pretty much just you. I hate to say it that way.
It's fine.
Because I have the data and the
We've already
dates that were
recognized
booked.
that it's me.
I write the booking stuff down, which I've recognized in the last couple of years that I need to just give her this data in a very easily digestible way, and she recognizes that
We're fine.
we're
Stop
fine.
panicking.
Stop panicking because, hey, we're already at the same threshold we were last year, but we're making $40,000 more than we did last year, for example. Or last year we didn't book any weddings these months either.
Yeah. So what he's saying is that I always have a period in the year where I freak out because we haven't booked a wedding in a month or 2 months, or I just get nervous.
So like
I'm a nervous girly.
In the beginning of 2023, let's take that for example, there was a dry spell. I think it was partially economic, and I think it was partially because of this. We did have a dry spell into when we would normally be booking weddings.
Yeah, we did.
And it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was stressing about it because I'm like, what do we do? And then eventually the light bulb moment happened where when we focus on the fact that we aren't booking weddings,
We are putting out
we
negative
are putting out that negative energy.
Yeah.
And we won't book weddings that way. We'll keep not booking weddings.
And it's funny because we've talked about this before. Like, I feel like we've kind of touched on this topic before. For me, when I am feeling this way, which happens every year, and we've almost been doing this for 10 years and it still happens, I am pretty down and out for a significant period of time. But you tend to make me recognize it. And then I'm like, okay, you're right. And it's not going to change unless I change my mindset. So whatever that looks like to you might be different. But for me, it's like making sure that, our website's up to date and like
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
Okay. Like putting positivity and working on the things that I know will benefit us, but also choosing to just be positive about it and like, hey, they will come, the inquiries will come, the bookings will come. And until then, I'm just going to work hard and do what I know how to do best, and it'll be fine.
And that's exactly it. When you're negative about the fact that you're not booking and you're focusing on that, you're not going to book. But when you turn your mindset to being positive, like you said, you're going to start booking. But it's not like this magic pill that, oh my gosh, I'm just thinking positive thoughts about booking weddings, so now I'm going to book weddings. It's not like that.
Yeah.
You're thinking positively about booking weddings, which subconsciously creates the drive in you to make the changes and do the things that you need to do to get the bookings, whether it's I haven't been posting on social media because I've been in this negative hole.
Right.
Or
I'm not feeling inspired.
I'm not feeling inspired, or I haven't actually taken the time to look at my website, because when there's a booking drought, it's always some sort of disconnect between your website or social media or how you're marketing yourself or lack thereof. And I think this year at the beginning of the year, we were going through like these periods that we weren't posting anything.
Well, we were. It just wasn't as consistent as what we should have been.
But so when you make these changes and just start like intentionally working on your business consistently, because you will never not be working on your business, because you should always be growing and always be adapting and always be just perfecting. When you start doing that again, it starts to put that out there.
Yeah.
And the bookings come back.
Yeah. I also, aside from that, like, not to get too frou-frou about it, but I do believe that there is a true, like, energy in the universe that is like when you are choosing positivity in your life and you're choosing to recognize that, it comes back to you. And that I believe is applied to anything in the world. So I truly do think that like when you are thinking positively about situations, that it will change for you in some shape or form.
When you, and that's the last quote I wrote down for this was, when you are focusing on all the positive wins that you had, that positivity, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
The more you think about it, the more you believe that for yourself.
Yep.
And when you start to believe that enough, it becomes, you know for certain that this is the case. Mm-hmm. And it ultimately drives you to be more self-motivating and conscious, or what's the word? Your belief in yourself.
Confidence.
Your self-confidence goes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when your self-confidence is going up, then you're willing to do more.
Your drive
goes up.
Yeah.
And it just this ladder that just becomes less and less steep. Mm-hmm. That is just easy to just keep climbing once you get past that mental block of negativity.
Maybe it's kind of like a foundational thing. Like once you like put a foundation down of just positive outlooks on life and positivity and choosing to view all the things that are going right, it sets a foundation and you can start, it just kind of naturally layers itself and you can start to climb that ladder to success.
And the more sturdy that foundation is, the easier it is to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
I have another real world example that sounds stupid, but it's going to work.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, when we're putting up Christmas lights, right?
Okay. Which we just took down yesterday.
When we go around that tree that's in that front bed, I usually have to put a ladder up in that bed because there's certain points where I just can't reach. What happens when I put that ladder in that bed and start climbing up?
You have to go through all the branches and the trees.
I'm talking about the base of the ladder.
Oh, I don't know.
The ladder starts to sink.
Oh, into the ground. Yeah.
Ladder's not super stable. Ladder goes down because I'm putting it on unstable ground. Dirt, mulch, sand, whatever. Let's look at that as a base of negativity. It's like putting your ladder on sand.
Oh, yeah.
And then trying to climb your
sink.
your ladder is going to start sinking. And it's going to be hard to keep it balanced and it might fall over. But if you are putting your ladder on concrete, poured level concrete, that's positivity.
Yeah.
Your ladder's not going to go anywhere.
You're such a dude.
It's a real world example. Analogies.
No, that's a good analogy, though. It's a good analogy. Yeah.
It's like the Bible story. Build your foundation on the rocks, not on sand.
Right. Jesus King. Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway.
Don't smack me.
Anyway. Yeah, I just thought that was like a good, quick little chat. I feel like anybody kind of needs just a short reminder that, hey, pay attention to when things work out. Because something might be brewing that you don't even know, but recognize when it does work out and, maybe you'll be able to see things a bit more clearly.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally only going to set yourself back if you just focus on the negative.
Yeah.
You're never going to move forward because, I mean, negative is a minus sign. Positivity is a plus sign.
Right.
Why do you think they call it that when you talk about mentality?
Yeah.
Because the negative mindsets subtract. So focus on positivity.
Mic drop. Love it. Okay. I hope this one inspired y'all. It's definitely a good reminder for me, especially like during this time of year when everything's like gray. I feel like I haven't seen the sun in weeks. There's no life on the trees. That's all negative, why
does that happen? Why does that happen?
It happens so new life can grow and things can come alive again and it's fresh and it's new. And so I do look at fall and winter that way. But it is easy to kind of get this seasonal depression. I feel like it's very normal. I mentioned on, I think, our New Year's podcast that the previous year I struggled a lot more. This year, y'all, I'm not even going to lie, I'm kicking it. I'm doing good. I feel like I haven't gotten a seasonal depression yet. But with that being said, I am very much looking forward to our annual Florida trip.
I think that's just in general, just because you could probably not be in your seasonal depression, so look forward to it.
But also, just a random side note, I think that maybe that's also because we are far more busy in the beginning of this year than I feel like we ever have in the last several years of our business. So it's like, it's easy to just kind of keep going because we got a lot of shit going on, and things are good. So, and we're choosing to
focus on the good.
I mean, part of me, like last week, was like, "Holy crap, we have a lot."
Well, you have to add to the fact that Oliver had surgery.
Yeah, like we just have a lot going on right now, and I was feeling I was feeling like very overwhelmed. But I'm also choosing to see the positive things of, hey, you know, like my seasonal depression is like at an all-time low or high. Which one that would be?
Low. Your depression's at an all-time low.
Yeah, because we do have so much going on, so I'm able to focus on just that and not focus on the grayness outside and the cold weather and things like that.
Like even like one of the most anxiety-ridden things that happened this year was Oliver having surgery. And if you follow our personal accounts or even our main photo account, our dog had surgery, had a thing removed from the back of his leg, which is a really weird spot. So they like super wrapped it and did. Yeah,
it's equivalent to like our Achilles tendon.
So he has to not jump, and
he's an Australian Shepherd,
He's an Australian Shepherd, y'all. So
got a lot of energy.
That's really difficult.
Yeah. He's also just like a high maintenance boy in general.
So having to deal with that in the midst of all of this unusual busyness, we've caught ourselves in a couple spots. Like, I'm just so overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
But you have to focus on the good, which we did was, hey, we're getting more work in January than we usually ever do.
Yeah.
And work is good.
Also, like, this is a side note, but it's still, I feel like it kind of makes sense in what we're talking about. With Oliver's surgery and like a few medications that he's recently had to be put on aside from the surgery, I've been tracking his behavior every day. And so I do write down like when he has like a bad potty or like things like that, I do list that, but I'm also tracking his good behavior. And I feel like that is just helping. Like that's helping me feel less anxious and better about his recovery and things like that, because I am tracking when things go well. So just a side note.
Word.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Really short, but I feel like this is powerful. So,
go ahead to comment. Comment. I can't talk today. Go to YouTube. Let's talk about this topic.
Yeah.
About like, where do you find that?
Tell us what's going well in your life.
Yeah. What's going well in your life? Give us the positives.
Yeah.
And put them in the comments. And we also haven't said in the last several episodes to go subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all the video podcast updates. Go give us a review on iTunes, on Spotify, hit the 5 stars, all the support we can. Go follow our Instagram account for Feast or Famine.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah. I need to be more social on Feast or Famine. We post on a regular basis, but like I don't show up on stories, and I probably should do that more. So I'll work on that, but definitely give us a follow over there. We would love to hang out with you and chat more, and not just be a one-sided conversation over here. So hit us up on Instagram. We always post like snippets and stuff of our podcast that we have that week, in hopes that we can chat with you guys in the comments. So tell us what's going good in your life, leave it in the comments, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.